Hey guys, and welcome to Nicrit. In today's video, we're going to go over how to make this cute little Among Us dead body. So this is the dead version of the crewmate after he's, been murdered on the game. So I made the crewmate a couple weeks ago. Actually, I think it was like a week and a half now ago at this point. And I made this cute little brain slug pet. I'm also going to be making quite a few other tutorials. I'm going to be making a lot of the hats and a lot of the accessories that go on the crewmate, which can also go on other Amigurumi, which is why I'm doing so many of them. There's going to be a top hat, a fried egg, a leaf hat, I believe. I've already made the leaf hat, I just haven't shown the pattern of the tutorial for that yet. Basically what I'm getting at is stay tuned for a ton of Among Us tutorials. I'm also hopefully going to be putting out a tutorial for how to make the Cyclops for the monster body and how to make a Yeti / Sasquatch, because they're just different colorways, but they're the same exact pattern. So stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button. We're getting close to 35,000 subscribers, which is crazy for me. I never thought I'd get that big. Maybe one day I'll have one of those fancy little plaques where I have the 100K. That's a goal. It's a lofty one, I know. I talk way too much on this channel for me to, get to 100,000. Probably annoy way too many of you, but it's a goal. It's a pipe dream. We'll get there maybe. Who knows? It could happen. Who knows? All right, so basically in this video, we're going to be going over how to make this cute little dead body. When I did this pattern, I originally wanted to make a pattern that would line up and be the same height as my crewmate. He is, however, slightly taller. I'm just going to say that the bone's sticking out more because it's kind of lifted. It's fine. It's the same thing, but I originally wanted them to be the same height, and it just didn't turn out that way. But basically, with this pattern, it's going to be kind of flip-flopped. Let me explain. This pattern is done from top down, which is the terminology that people usually use. We're making it from the top down, and doing the head first and then splitting off the legs, and the legs get finished off on the bottom. However, with this body, we're going to be going from the bottom up. And this is going to be done in two pieces, actually. So this piece is done separately from this piece. I'll show you how I do that, but generally you're going to want to be comfortable with making your magic ring, single crocheting, as well as increasing, going around and around, and also seaming and working with two pieces together. I'll show you how I do it, but you're going to want to be comfortable with doing these things generally. I have a Crochet 101 playlist down below if you are interested in that. There will also be a printable PDF for how to make this on our Ravelry that will be free at all times. Because this is not my intellectual property, I am not charging any kind of charge for that PDF. I just don't feel right about that. Same thing with my Pokemon, same thing with all that stuff. It's not even just like, oh, you'd be liable and getting sued. I just don't feel right about it because it's not characters that I've created. I'm just making fan art of it, so that feels wrong to benefit monetarily from, if that makes sense. But basically, the PDF will be there for free. I'm chatty. I've had a little bit of caffeine tonight to try to get this video and this tutorial done. I've made a bunch of these, so I'm really excited to get started. For this project, you will need some worsted weight yarn. These projects were not made with this specific yarn, so I'm kind of excited to work with it. But I have made other things with this I Love This Cotton from Hobby Lobby. The colorways that I chose, I had a hard time with this because the images that they show in the game aren't super clear on what the color for the inside where the bone touches the body looks like. For the light blue, it is almost a teal. For the black, it looks a bit more gray, so I went with those. But I really wanted to do a dead body version of the red one because, red's my favorite and I think he's super cute and super sus. So I wanted to do the maroon, almost black color that they showed in the PNG images that I kept on pulling up on Google. And this color over here was darn near exactly what it was. So I couldn't find that color in any other yarn way, and this is just a size for worsted weight cotton. And I don't generally use cotton for amigurumi, but I am excited to try this. This is I Love This Cotton. It is a Hobby Lobby brand specifically. I'm pretty sure you could probably get the same thing with other cotton yarns, but I'm not sure. This color is perfect, and this one's white, this one's red. I believe this is 6 white. Yes, 6 white specifically. This one is 60 red, and then this one I believe is 32 aubergine, which I believe is kind of like a wine color. I found these to be exactly what I wanted. We're going to put these aside over here and let them just chill out. You're also going to need a darning needle for when you are seaming up your two sides. I'll show you what that looks like, so don't worry. I have some darning scissors right here. These are just little quick thread scissors that I'm using. You will also need some stuffing. A 1 pound bag of this, again, will make a ton of amigurumi, so just, you kind of got to wing it. I can't tell you exactly the measurements of what the polyfill would be. And I'm also using my Furls crochet hook. I have an affiliation with them. I have links down below if you would like coupon codes and you fall in love with this crochet hook, just like I did. I purchased their quarantine kit back in the day, and I messaged them begging them to let me become an affiliate, and they did. They're super gracious like that, and I love them. And this is such a nice, super good quality crochet hook. This is a 3.25 millimeter crochet hook, or a D, sometimes known as D3 crochet hook. You can also use Susan Bates or Boyles or whatever the heck you have. You do you. I just like how ergonomic these are. And we're going to start off with our red yarn. We're going to start off with the bottom of this body. We're going to start from the feet and go upward. Please don't fall. There we go. So essentially, we are going to take our red yarn and make a ring. We are going to be doing this, but twice. I'm going to show you how to do it, but I'm going to explain it first. We're going to be creating 2 legs separate from one another and kind of doing the inverse of what we did before. We're kind of backpedaling and doing it from the bottom up, if that makes sense, if you made the crewmate. We are going to make a ring and place 5 single crochet inside of it. We're going to increase those 5 up to 10 by increasing every single stitch, and then take that 10 and go up to 15 by increasing every other stitch. Don't worry, I will walk step by step and show you it with this yarn. Then we're going to single crochet around 6 times, and now we're going to create our second leg. We want 2 legs, which we're going to attach with some single chains in the center, and I'll show you exactly how I do that. We're going to take this red yarn and plop them over there and create yarn everywhere, apparently. I'm actually just going to put this nice and neat right there. Take our darning needle all the way. A little less mess in the equation, make it a little bit more obvious what I'm doing. All right, so we're going to create our ring. We're going to first do a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 2. So chain 1 and chain 2. We're going to skip our second chain and go single crochet into the first, and like I said, we're going to place 5 single crochet. And if you need to follow along with a pattern, there will be one printable on Ravelry as well as on Lovecrafts over in the description. I have links for those. So this is 4 and 5. Don't worry, that hole will close up as soon as you pull your tail. Should have made that tail maybe slightly longer. I'm going to put that with the yarn. There we go. Nope, don't get stuck. He got stuck. I pulled from the center and it decided it wanted to take the entire skein with me. I don't want to do that. All right, another key thing with this pattern is we are going to be sewing into back loops. So it is important that you are working through front loop only. And what I mean by that is you have the V shape right here. You have one loop here, which is closest to your work, and then you have this back loop over here. That is your back loop. This is your front loop. Front loop, back loop. We're going to take our hook out and go through. Most people, when they do a stitch, they go through both of these loops. We're going to go through just the front loop, and I'm going to put 2 single crochet inside of that front loop for every single stitch of this round. We are on round 2. And instead of going through both loops, which is really easy with cotton, by the way, we're going to just go through the front loop. And that's our second stitch increased. This is our third. And increase. Fourth. Go inside the stitch. Go inside the same stitch. And fifth. Go inside the stitch. Go inside the same stitch. Now I'm going to take my tail and make sure that it's nice and tight still. Careful with cotton because cotton likes to break when you pull on it. It's a lot less sturdy, I find, than acrylics, at least when it comes to like cutting things and it tearing easily when it's just by itself. That's a big old pain in the butt. All right, we are going on to round 3, which is our last increase round, and we're going to single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, increase. And by increase, I mean placing 2 stitches inside of a single stitch. So again, single crochet 1, go to the next stitch, front loop only the entire time, and increase, single crochet 1, next stitch, place 2 stitches inside that previous round, which looks 1 bump, 2 bump, single crochet 1, this is our third increase, and increase, single crochet 1, and increase, single crochet 1, and increase. And from here I should have 15 stitches on my work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I like to take my hook and push it through my center of my stitch that I just put 2 single crochets inside of. I just put my increase in there. I'm going to take my tail, I'm going to pull that through, and that's going to kind of be a stitch marker. And now we went around 6 times for that piece over there. And now we're going to go around 6 times for this round here. We're going to go around 6 times, just going around and around and around and around endlessly, no slip stitching off. We're just working around until we pass it 6 times, basically. We have 15 stitches on our work, and I will be back as soon as this leg's 6 rows are done, and then I'll show you how I attach the 2 legs, and then we will show you how I do the rest of the body. Be right back. Okay, so now we have 2 legs. One where I slip stitched off, and another one where I'm still actively working on it. What I'm going to do is we're going to chain 3, and we're going to attach our legs, basically. So I'll show you exactly how I do that. We're going to chain. I also put my tails on the inside of my work so that they're out of the way. What I was using is a stitch marker. I don't need those anymore. We're going to chain 1, 2, and 3. So we have 1, 2, 3 chains. And what I like to do here is with the slip stitch, I'm going to go through the top of my slip stitch right here where I went in. I'm going to also swoop in and kind of go underneath just to make sure that it is a nice, clear kind of, there's no holes in the stitches. We're going to pull through and pull through. And I'm just going to start single crocheting around every single one of those pieces. We have 15 plus 15, and we're going to put a single crochet on both sides of that chain. I'll show you exactly what I mean by going around this round. But we should get to 36 stitches at the end of this round. I'm going to work with my tail as if it is a part of my yarn and just work with it across all those stitches. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to drop my tail. I've worked it through enough of those stitches just to make sure. I'm going to pull out some more of my yarn to work with. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And now I want to make sure my work is facing the right way. We're going to work through the backs of these stitches. What I like to do is I'm going to pick up right before where my chains were, trying not to split the yarn. I think it's just because it's cotton. There we go. I'm going to go through the first chain, kind of go through both of them at the same time. This just minimizes holes. You don't have to do that, but you just want to go into the chain. So that's 15, 16, 17, and the third stitch. Third chain, we're going to go through where it came out originally, where this nice stitch is all loose. I'm going to pull through both of them and just kind of crochet them together. And it kind of makes a way less definitive hole there. So now we have 19, 20, 1, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 30, 1, 32, 33. And so now we have the other side of those chains. We want to pick those up. And I'm going to go through the loops right here just to make sure they're nice and 34, 35, and 36. This is a stitch all on its own. That counted as one. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going through this piece here, this chain. There we go, and just the chain. And then we're kind of start all over again. We're going to go 1. We're just going to single crochet around. 2. I'm going to crochet until the end here, and I'm going to kind of just make that the beginning of my round. I know that we're going to go across 7 stitches to get to that corner and to get to that side, but I like having even rounds, and I find that this is what looks the smoothest, which is why I put my tail up till that point. So we're going to then pick that up. I'm going to take my tail and pull it through that piece right there. All right, so now you have 36 stitches on your work. You've gone across, and we've done our first round. We're going to go around for 5 more rounds, and that's what's going to end our body here. And I'll show you how I fasten off to make it a bit more seamless along this edge here. But we're just going to go around 2, 3, 4, and 5 times. You should have 36 stitches on your piece. I'm going to get that done, and then I'll show you how I do the top of the bone and go downward. Be right back. Okay, so now that we've gone around all of our rounds, I've made it about 1 inch tall, just roughly. I'm going to take my work, I'm going to cut a side on it, I'm going to do a seamless fastening off. And the way that I do that is I'm going to take my darning needle. Well, first I'm going to take my yarn and pull it all the way through the loop. That way it's kind of just sitting there like so. And our goal here is to try to make this as seamless as I can. Doesn't super duper matter. If you just want to fasten off, you can. I just like how this looks a little bit better. I'm also going to cut this tail because I don't need it anymore. Oh, I also stuffed my legs so that they're a little bit more firm. I'm going to stuff this more, but I'm going to do that between stuffing the 2 sides together. It makes it a lot easier to sew everything just in generally if I wait. So I'm going to take my yarn that is currently active, and I'm going to move that out of the way so it's a little less confusing. And we're going to do our seamless fastening off technique, which I have a full-blown video for down below. It is linked in the Crochet 101 playlist. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my work on my darning needle. Like I said, we're going to skip this stitch right after my work, and we're going to go into the stitch right after that, going from the front and into the back, like so. Pull that through. Our goal here is to try to make it look like it's its own stitch, like that. So we're going to take this work here and we're going to put our darning needle through the center of our last stitch that we had just finished. We're going to go back inside that last stitch. I'm going to pull that through, and I'm going to pull it as tight so that it looks like one of those stitches. I'm going to just pull it so that it is only that tight. Kind of wiggle it a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thread and I'm going to kind of work it through a couple more stitches, and then I'm just going to kind of let it sit there and act as stuffing. There's no point in cutting it because, I mean, there just isn't. So I'm just going to kind of tug that into a leg so that it's a little less obvious. Tuck my all that stuff in there. And now that should be perfectly fine. We're going to start working on the bone top, and we're going to work on that, go down, and then we're going to sew those two pieces together. So basically what I do in order to do the bone top is we're going to take our white yarn. This is the, again, I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby. I'm actually going to move my red out of the way completely. Where did it go? There it went. We're going to do kind of the same general principle, but we're not going to be doing any kind of chaining. This is one of the bone tops. I'm going to show you how I make that. I'm going to pull my tail through so that it's a little less, you know, stringy. We're going to put that right in the inside there. But I'm going to show you how I make this, and it's super duper easy. We're essentially just going to make our magic ring. We're going to place 6 single crochet inside, increase to 12, and then just go around twice. That's not really the hard part when it comes to the bone part. It is going to be more difficult to do the whole combining them and going downward, which again, it's not even that hard. It's really not that difficult. So I'll show you what I mean. You're going to create 2 bone tops. I'm now working on my second one. I slip stitched off on that one. We're just going to let you hang out over there. And now we're going to chain 2, which is our magic ring. Essentially, we're going to work into our very first one like we just did before, and we're going to place 6 single crochet on the inside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to pull our tail so that the hole closes, like so. I'm going to pull out a little bit more white. You don't need a crazy amount, but it is good to have. And now we're going to, I like to take my yarn and hold it to the back. I'm going to take my needle and go through the front stitch only. Again, I do that for all of this entire amigurumi. I just generally do it with amigurumi unless I specify otherwise, but generally I work through the front loop only. I'm going to place 2 stitches within the single stitch from the previous round. We're increasing from 6 up to 12. So every single one of these 6 stitches needs to have an increase in it. There we go. So that is the second stitch with 2 stitches. So we're up to 4 stitches on row 2, 5, and 6. We're halfway through this round. Next stitch, 7, 8. Next stitch, 9, 10. And on our last stitch, we're going to go 11, and now we are up to 12 stitches. 2 stitches within every single one. I'm tugging on my tail again, not trying to tug on it too tight because cotton will just snap at a moment's notice. We're going to take our tail and we're going to work it through that last stitch like so. And I'm going to just single crochet around for 2 rounds. So for 24 stitches, we are just going to single crochet essentially. We have 12 stitches on each round, so that times 2 is 24 stitches. That's how I got that number. So 2. Just going to kind of fast forward through this. Alright, so now we've gone around twice, and like I said before, we've gone around with another one and slip stitched off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to essentially just join these 2 and start single crocheting them around. We're going to take these 12 stitches and combine them into 24 stitches. So how I do that is I'm going to take my side that has the little stitch right there. We're going to pick that up and we're going to go both above and below that stitch because it makes it a bit less of a messy join. I'm going to just single crochet into that, and I'm going to keep my tail as if it is a part of my work. I'm going to go across 6 stitches with my tail underneath it. So 2, pulling my tail as I can, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so I put my tail there for 2 reasons. One is to show that this is the start of my round. I know it makes it a little bit crooked, but it's fine. It doesn't really show too much that you've done 6 extra stitches on one side versus the other. And 2, it's so that this tail is a little bit more hidden and inside your work, which makes it less likely to unravel. Now we're going to go into the next 6 stitches from this side of the bone. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm now going to kind of do a wobbly thing. My goal is to get 24 stitches on my work here for this one round. I'm going to go into the stitch here and kind of join it over here into my first of 12 stitches from the second bone piece, just to kind of combine them and make that hole a little less obvious. I'm now going to work into my second stitch, into my third, into my third, there we go, fourth, fifth, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, oop, 11, and 12. I'm going to do the same thing where the stitch in the middle is kind of just hovering, so they're combined, and we're going to just go across those 6 stitches again, and that will be the end of this round. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to fix that 6th stitch for 1. 6 is I'm going to take my tail and I'm going to pull it through right here just to show where my rounds are now beginning. I'm also going to take this tail and put it into the head of the other bone, basically. Eee. And again, if you're confused at any point in time, I have a printable PDF right on Ravelry. So I'm going to put that right there, stuff it in there. I use less stuffing that way. And now what we're going to do is we're going to decrease every single one of these stitches. We're going to go from 24 stitches down to 12. You can see how quickly those decreases happen, and it's going to feel wrong. It's going to feel like you're doing way too many decreases, but that's the only way to go from so many stitches down to just a nice thick stem for the bone. That sounds a lot darker than I mean it to. This is a pretty dark topic. Whatever, it's October, it's Halloween month. It can be spoopy if it wants. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in every single stitch and we're just going to decrease. I'm going to do my invisible decrease the entire time around. How I do that is I go through the front of 2 loops and I just single crochet them together for all of these stitches. We should have 24 and we are going to be bringing that down to 12, like I said. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, oh, 2, there we go, I can do things. 1, 2, and it's quick too. The top part is significantly quicker. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And this should be our last decrease. I'm going to count my stitches before I start going around, but this should be good. And I'm also going to stuff, because if you don't stuff right now, it's going to be a lot harder to do that later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. We got exactly 11 stitches, so we're going to take just a little tiny bit of fluff and we're going to shove it into the tops of the bones just to get this. I'm going to pull my tail a little bit more so that it's not completely warped, just to give this a little bit more shape, because otherwise, once you start narrowing down and you single crochet around and around and around, it becomes significantly harder to do so. All right, so that one is full. And this one looks smaller, so I'm probably going to put a little bit more stuffing in this one than I otherwise might. I always try to make it even, and I know that, I keep bouncing my camera, there we go. And I know that stuffing it can make or break the shape of an amigurumi. I'm not good at it, which is why I find it frustrating. I hate stuffing. It's my least favorite thing. There we go. So now we are going to just single crochet around and around and around for 5 rounds. Then I'll show you how we change colors and work all of our increases into here. We're basically going to be going from 12 to 36 with the separate color. I'll be right back as soon as I've gone around 5 times and I can show you how I change my color, and also I'm going to stuff the little bone part a little bit more. But we're going to go around for 5 rounds. Be right back. Okay, so we've gone around for our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and we're going to now, we're on the very last stitch of our 5th row. And how I change my colors is essentially, I do this in a couple of other videos as well. We are going to put our hook inside of our last loop. We're going to pull through like we're going to go through, but I'm going to drop that, pick up my secondary color, so whatever I wanted this color to be for my dead body for the center, we're going to take our little maroon color in this instance, and we're going to try to loop it up and start working with it as if it is our active yarn, because it is now. Alright, so we're going to put those kind of to the side. I'm not going to cut my yarn yet. I'll show you why. And we're now going to be trying to increase from 12 to 36. We're going to do that by increasing 6 stitches every single round, just like we do for when we were staggering our stitches for the beginning of our crewmate, if you followed along with that tutorial. So what I do is I'm going to single crochet 1, and then in the very next stitch, we're going to increase. We're going to put 2 stitches within the same stitch. So you can see 1 bump, you can see 2 bump, all in the same stitch. And we're going to do that the entire way around. So 1, increase, 1, and increase, 1, increase. I should have 2 more after this. 1, increase, and on our last stitch, 1, and increase. This looks a little loose and a little sloppy. I will be tugging on that. I just put another increase in there. And so now on the next round, we're going to stagger our increases. So we're going to single crochet 1, increase the next stitch, and then single crochet 1 again. We're going to do that the entire way around. So single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1. We essentially want 2 single crochets between each of our increases. So single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, single crochet 1, increase, pull my yarn a little bit. I pulled out a bunch of my center, so now I'm trying to like pull on it without making it a messy mess on my desk. Single crochet 1, and we have 1 more repetition, so single crochet 1, increase, I dropped my yarn, single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1. There we go. So now you should have work that looks like that. It doesn't look too bad. You can do other changing color methods. I just find this to be the easiest. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to double knot my added on yarn with my old active white yarn. I'm just going to double knot those real quick. Call it good. And I'm going to snip them so that they're only about 1 inch long. That way I'm wasting the least amount of white yarn as I can. You can never be too careful when wasting yarn. And I'm going to actually stuff the bone just a little bit more. And I just added way too much yarn. Way too much fluff is happening right here. We're going to ball it just a little bit to give it a bit more shape. And we're going to, actually no, we're not. We're going to do this first because I feel like there's still some right there. There we go. This ball's too big. I'm going to keep my maroon from going down into the bone because I find that if you have a color that's lighter than the other and you have it leaning against it, even from behind, you end up having like this really dark color kind of showing through from behind, and I don't like that. All right, so now we have 12 to 18, 18 to 24. We're going to go from 24 to 30 stitches. We have 2 more increase rounds. And for this one, we are going to single crochet 3 and increase. You can actually take your tail and pull it through and have that act as a stitch marker. This is not the one I want. I want the maroon one, and it's being difficult. There we go. So I just have a little tiny string hanging out, letting it do its thing there. So now we are going to single crochet 1, 2, 3, and increase. Again, we're staggering our stitches so that our increases don't all line up with one another. I have a whole video, 1, 2, 3. I have a whole video on stacked versus staggering stitches, so if you're interested in learning about that, it is linked down below. I believe it is my Crochet 101 playlist as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase that stitch. 1, 2, 3, and increase on that stitch. When you don't stagger your stitches, you wind up with a big old line going down the side of your work, and that drives me crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we have 1 more increase round. So, one more increase repetition. 2, 3, and 4 slash to the 5th. So I'm going to pull that just a little bit. So much of my center just came out, and I don't want it to be a wreck, but I didn't want to ball my yarn yet. Alright, so now we have 1 last increase round. We're going to be going from 30 stitches up to 36, and that will make it so that it is wide enough for the top of our 36 stitch round legs here. It's actually really soft, and I like how this cotton is working, so I like it. We're going to stagger our stitches again. We're going to single crochet 1, go into the next stitch, second single crochet, and now we're going to increase. And increase. And then we're going to single crochet another 2. We want 4 stitches between each of our increase rounds, if that makes sense. I tried to describe it in a bunch of different ways to see if maybe that helps at all, because I know that if I just keep saying the same thing over and over again, it gets really frustrating for some people. So I try to figure out different ways to explain how to do the increasing. So we're going to go do that again. Single crochet 1, 2, and increase this stitch right here, the third one, and then single crochet another 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, 1. It's harder to do this when it's stuffed because it's heavy and pulling down on the hook a little bit. 1, 2, 1, 2, increase. Oh, I split my yarn. 2. And this is an increased stitch. 1, 2, 1, 2, increase, let me undo that because I nicked it right there. Just want to make sure it looks nice and neat. So let me look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is an increased stitch. There we go. Much better. 1, 2. And so now we should have one more repetition of 1, 2. This is our last increase. 1 and increase. And now 1 and 2. So now this is where things get fun. This is now 36 stitches wide. So is the interior of our little body here. I'm going to actually take my tails and move them out of the way. First, that's just going to go on the inside, and I'm going to take this tail and snip that off of my little work there. And what I like to do here is I'm going to actually slip stitch off into the first stitch of what would be the next round. Just slip stitch that right off, like so. We're going to leave a nice long tail. I leave a good foot, 12 inches, 14 inches. I'm going to move all my yarn out of the way so it's not in the way. And then we're going to pull our thread, our yarn right through, and we're going to get our darning needle out with our tail for the bone. Our goal here is to seam this on top of that. I'm hoping that this will look right, and I always look around, and when you're working in the round, I'm going to fold my edges here. It makes it a little bit easier. When I look around, I'm going to be seaming it along the edges of row 14 from our body here. These little bumps here are from the previous round, the round right before the last one. And so what I want is to go like so. So now I just need to line this up properly. I'm going to line it up here, and I'm going to put it through here. That way, here and here will kind of become its own new round. My goal is to go through just this top ridge, so I kind of need to marry it a little bit, like so, and I can line it up like so. I'm going to go through from the front of the loop to the back. This is the only stitch where I'm doing some kind of funkiness here. I'm going to pull that through, and then I'm going to go through the top of the stitch to the bottom. It's kind of dark to see. So from the top of this stitch down to the middle of it through the bottom. I'm going to pull that through, and then I'm going to not shake my camera. Let's try not to do that. There we go. And then we go into the next stitch from the side towards the center, like so. Pulling that, and then go from the top down, like so. And I like to tug on my tail every 2 times I do that, just to make sure that it is right. So now we're going to go into our next stitch, like so. And then go through from the top of this stitch to the center. There we go. Now I can get a decent view of it. And that was the one that we just went into, so now we're going to go into the next one. And I'm going to do this the entire way around, just to get this done, and you can stuff as you go. And you can see how those are a little loose, so I'm going to tighten them up a little bit. Like so. So basically, you can seam this any which way. I found that this gave it more of a 3D effect and looked more similar to what the game did, but I did originally, when I first did my prototype for this, I ended up doing just a seam over the top, where I just did the last row and it just didn't look quite right to what I wanted to do. But you can just go across the seams and you don't have to go through the back of row 14. Oops, don't tangle. There we go. Pull on it so that it's all even. If you pull on it regularly, the seam will look much more seamless. So there's that. Hold on. This is the one that I want to go through. Oops. And I always have to double check. So I'm going to seam this until I have only about 5 stitches left, and then I'll show you how I stuff it real quick. And then this guy's all done. He's really easy. Super easy peasy. Be right back. Alright, so this is down to the last 4 or 5 stitches along this side. I have stuffed this and tried to make this as compact as I can. I love how this is turning out. It looks so good. It even looks better. So if you look at my other one, my blue one, it looks a little warped and the stuffing wasn't that great. I find that this is keeping its shape much better. This is with Red Heart and with some Karen on the top, and it came out much larger than this one, but I like how this one looks a lot. So we're gonna just finish this up. I'm going to show you how I do that real quick. I have this stuffed to the point where I am happy. I am going to just keep going through the top and the bottom stitches, joining them together. Kind of folding this down, it makes it easier for me. I'm trying to not get the stuffing into my stitches because then things start looking weird. I'm still tugging on it every couple stitches just to bring this together and make it nice and neat looking. We are going to go through this stitch now, go down, go up here and grab that. This should be our second to last stitch that we go through, trying not to split it while also not picking up some stuffing. They're just really frustrating. There we go. We did it. So now we're going to go through this last stitch up here, and we're going to pick up this last stitch right here, but instead of going up and like doing anything else, we're just going to go through that stitch, the final one right there, and we're going to feed it through the side up into the maroon. I want to keep it with its like kind, and that way you can't really tell where it began because we did that seamless fastening off there. I'm going to actually take this and feed it a little bit further away from even there. We're going to feed it through the side. That way we've got a couple different points where if it does come unraveled for whatever reason, it won't come undone. I am exceptionally happy with how this turned out. We're going to cut this and put this in my yarn mill ends. Again, I don't need tails this long, but I always end up using it as stuffing anyway. So it's not like it gets wasted, and honestly, I'd rather have too long of a tail than too short of a tail. All right, so that is pretty much all there is to this cute little amigurumi. He is done. I am happy with how he turned out. It's actually pretty on par with the height of the crewmate. It's not that much taller. I mean, it's about ½ inch taller if I'm gonna be real. All right, but either way, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It is a little shorter than the other one, but I'm very happy. The general pattern is the same. I just used different yarns. That's why that turned out that way. Okay, so stay tuned for more Among Us coming up. I'm really excited. I'm going to be doing a bunch of hats and a bunch of other accessories. I'm hoping to do a little mini pet of how to do the crewmate, and I really want to do an imposter, but I'm trying to figure out how to do the open mouth for the amigurumi. I have an idea, but I'm just worried that it's not going to look right. So I'm kind of just trying to figure out how I'm going to go about that. So that probably won't be for another little bit until I can get that worked out, but I am going to be doing the leaf hat, the top hat, the party hat, the crown. I'm doing a bunch of the hats, and I'm wondering if I should do them all as individual videos or if I should do just one massive video. What do you guys think? If you guys can give me some feedback on that, let me know about that down below. Look at how much like brighter this yarn is than this yarn just because it's cotton. That is insane. I really love how this turned out. So if you want more Among Us materials, hit the like button, do the whole subscribe thing. We put out patterns for all of our videos for the most part. So if you are interested in that, definitely hit the subscribe button because a lot of those patterns I sell. And for the first week, I usually post a
coupon code to get all of them for free. I also post free patterns like this one today, so stay tuned for that. I do it on Ravelry and I do it on Lovecrafts. We also have a PayPal link, and we also have a Patreon if you're interested in supporting us over there. I have a lovely little community over there and I love it. We also have a Discord, so if you're interested in talking or just want to like share what you're making, go ahead and pop over to our Discord, which is also linked down below. Until next time, guys. Bye!